Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Hi there. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And hi, I am spiritual medium Kelly White, and we are with John Williams.
John.
Hello, ladies. Welcome
Hi,
to another Monday.
Yes, another fun day
Monday,
of,
fun day.
of planetary
Crazy Monday.
clusterfuck.
It has been, hasn't it? It's been a crazy
Oh,
day. Just
totally.
back busy.
Shirley,
Totally.
John and I did a show last Thursday, and
Yeah.
we're like, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes into it, John, and then
Yeah.
next thing you know, John drops off.
Yeah. It's never happened before in the history of us doing the show from home.
And I'm like, John? We
Oh
had like
my
some live caller on. John,
God.
and then I was like,
Oh,
well, let's do some little soft shoe, and I just kept
a
going.
little soft shoe. And
Did too.
oh my God.
This has been such a week because we're already in the shadow. It's not
Of
just our
Mercury.
shadow stuff. We are in the shadow of Mercury. Isn't it funny? Everything has a shadow. Every us.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Mercury is going retrograde on June 18th.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect, it's going to be in Gemini, because I do Vedic and Western. It's going to be in Gemini and Cancer. And
Mm.
it goes until I think July 12th. So this is going to be, like serious. Like this is going to be unbelievable because it affects the air. It will affect certainly air travel, but it'll affect hurricanes. It will affect internet. I've been talking about this forever, but one of the things that I really wanted to discuss, since we have this great guest tonight, I'm
Yes.
so
One
excited.
of our favorites.
One of our faves, so great. One of our team members.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, so I did a big astrological report with James Van Prague. John, when did I do that?
You did that on his soul care, and I believe that was on Tuesday of last week.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so this time I'm just going to give a very minimal report of one thing that I do want to talk about because I think it's
Can
really
peop-
important.
Can people go on his website or your website and see that again?
Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay.
posted on YouTube. It's also in the video section of JVP, his main page.
Okay.
And also we posted to our Both Sides Now page, so it should be
Oh,
there.
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And
John,
on our YouTube.
tell him about Wednesday though.
Yeah, so Wednesday, Kel and James are going to be doing an intensive on astrology and
Oh,
sort of
that's
what's
exciting.
coming up with all the retrogrades and all the eclipse energy that we're dealing with right now. So that's going to be posted at vanprog.com in the events section, and you guys can buy tickets for that. So that's going to be on Wednesday, I believe, at 4 p.m. Pacific time.
So that's why I'm going. I've got astrology coming out of my
Yes.
system. That's why I just want to talk about one event
Mhm.
that's coming up because as I've been talking about, we have 4 planets in retrograde. We just had
Yeah.
one of the first of 3 eclipses, and so this time I really want to talk about something that most people don't know about or they may not be talking about it. But on June 13th, Mars conjuncts Neptune. So what does that mean? When there's a conjunction, it means you're right next to it, very close on it.
Mhm.
So Mars is the planet of war, and Mars is the planet of energy, action, intensity. And when it gets real close to Neptune, Neptune is the hidden, the kind of just the hidden things that people don't really want to talk about. And so when that gets together, it's going to be very, very serious because it will lead to all these more conspiracy theories, but some of these
Oh no.
conspiracy theories may come to the surface. It means secrets coming to the surface,
So meaning
actually.
that they may actually be proven, some
Yeah,
conspiracy theorists.
exactly.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because Neptune is activated by Mars, activation of a sleeping kind of hidden, kind of dreamy like planet is going to be like that means hidden secrets. Watch your dreams because dreams right now could be giving you big messages. So watch your dreams because the dreams during this whole month are going to be something. But it really means that the hidden is going to come out and wake up the world. I mean, it's funny. This is something that is very, very serious. People are going to want to escape because Neptune means let's go have a drink. Let's not talk about it. Let's go. The world's a scary place. I have a fear of the future. No, 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 no. And you don't need to do that. This is all for transformation for the world, actually. And Neptune rules oil and gas. So could there be a situation with oil and gas? Yes. But also Neptune itself rules diseases. So we may find out where this disease actually originated.
Oh, interesting.
Hmm.
Okay.
So that's
Now,
what's going on.
is that worldwide, but also can be individual? Like if there's secrets in a family that those might come up?
Oh, yes. You
Mm-hmm.
betcha. You
Yeah.
betcha.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's going to be to use your term, a kaboom
It's a kaboom. Yeah.
June.
And that's not even the kaboom of the kabooms for this month.
Yeah, this is just the preview to the movie.
It's preview to the movie.
Oh,
It's like, how
oh.
much can we take? Well, I don't know.
But
I
it's
would say, do
interesting.
you know what happened to me today, Shirley? My
Mm.
sciatica went out. I feel like some old person.
Really?
I didn't even know how to spell sciatica. I didn't know what it was. All of a sudden, I just couldn't move because it's an old structure, an old
Mhm.
pattern that I've had of doing the work the way I do it and everything. And I've had to really restructure and examine. This is part of the Mercury's retrograde and everything,
Oh, wow.
re-examining how I live my life, what I do, how I'm going to make some change to my structure. It's
Mhm.
physical structure and structure of how I do my work. So there'll
Yeah.
be a lot of changes going on, a lot. So that's
Wow.
part of this too.
Wow.
I think it's so timely that we did a show on the shadow, and folks can go back and review that because so much
Yeah.
of what has been going on right now, especially with Pluto and
Oh, yeah.
Saturn and Neptune, is all about uncovering the shadow when it's retrograde, right? So, Kel, you're
Yeah.
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
more about that in detail. But
Yeah.
wow, I've
Uh,
really started working on that and looking at that myself, and so it's super important stuff right now.
Oh, it's super important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're seeing
Yeah.
that collectively happen
Hmm.
with all of the protests and so
Oh,
forth
yeah.
that are going
Oh,
on right
yeah. Things that are
now.
Yeah.
hidden that are
Yeah.
coming out.
Mhm.
Well, and speaking of that, Shirley,
Yes. 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 Well, one of our loveliest of loveliest, one of our favorites is here with us again today, Karie Gonia. Yay! Our resident family
Hi.
constellation therapist. Oh my God, you look so beautiful.
You look so beautiful. These kabooms are killing me, Kelly.
I know.
I can't. I'm like
Oh,
backstage biting my nails.
I mean, well, it's funny because you're as busy as the three. We're all really busy.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Like, because it seems that everybody needs that help so badly now, almost
yeah,
worse. I don't know, more now than ever, actually. Do you see
yeah.
that in your work?
I honestly, for the last couple of years, I've easily had a 4 to 5 week wait list. So I think I've seen it really from 2017 to now. So I think people started waking up now, but I've really noticed in the last couple of months, there's a sense of urgency because so much fear kicked up.
Right.
So
A lot
yeah,
of fear.
a lot of
fear.
fear.
And it's fear not only in yourself, but just the atmosphere of fear, almost like a collective
Yeah,
fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Well, I wanted to hear about your perspective
Mm.
from
Yeah.
generational trauma of what is going on in the world now and how it affects everybody from generations, since you've been doing this work for a long time. And racism is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious about that, and also like the different times where we've had, you know, different viruses. I mean, does that trigger generational trauma if you had a direct link to that? If someone died, and certainly with racism, we would see that a lot too, but I'm curious about that piece.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that back in February, March, when Corona just started to come out. People were coming with like life or death energy. And so I would just kind of put in these general, these pandemics that had happened before, and they would have like visceral, physical responses to that energy or have like a big emotional purge, and then would be able to move past that energy. Because I noticed at the first of the year, people were really getting stuck in almost like PTSD energy. Like it felt like it had happened before, but they didn't have any frame of reference for that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then working on, it's so emotional for me to work on constellations where slavery has occurred, because they're so profound and they're so deep and there's so much love in those fields. I actually did one last week And I actually told Shirley Kelly, I'm really good at like staying on the outside because I'm so empathic. I have to, but I totally started bawling. I didn't mean to, but it was just like the image that I saw was this woman has bravely, my client has bravely done her work in the last couple of years. And it literally is taking chains off lineage. It's changing the DNA structure of their entire line. And then it's her helping everyone else that comes in contact with her. It's really powerful.
Can you tell everybody again, remind them how you do it and what you do so they'll understand what you just
Right.
said?
What maybe like an overview of family constellation therapy. Yeah.
It's kind of hard to explain. So family constellation therapy, it's predominantly done in big groups of people. So someone, let's say I put Kelly, you and your mom and your dad in the constellation field, you would actually choose someone to represent your mom's energy. So if you're doing it at a group, you would choose someone to represent your mom's energy based on your internal story of XYZ that happened.
So are you saying if like let's say there are 30 people physically together, like back
Physically
in the day
together.
when you could be in a room?
I
Now
know.
we can't. So I don't know how it works this way, but you would choose somebody that, you know what, you, and either
Right.
consciously
You
or
play mom.
unconsciously.
Yep.
Right.
Ooh.
Yeah. And what's
Wow.
beautiful is so the practitioner opens up what is called a morphogenic field, which is the consciousness of your entire family system. So it's like the soul of your family system. So if you imagine I opened up that consciousness in your office, you would select someone and say, stand here, you're my mom. Then you would bring in someone to represent your dad, sibling, whatever. And then you would actually have a seat and watch the constellation unfold. And then the person who is representing those energies will feel sensations in their body. You can get really emotional. I was in a group once where I was like, oh my God, I got shot in the head. Like I had like a piercing headache instantly, had a big visceral response and release, started crying. And the girl told me that her grandfather had gotten shot in the head in the war and died. So you will take on the energy and the emotions of whatever's stuck. So that's part one. And then part two, in order to clear the energy, then you would actually step in and face mom, dad, sibling, and actually talk to them. And so they call them truth statements or healing statements. I actually just channel spirit during that part. So it's like, dear mom, I honor you. So then you would have that dialogue, and then typically the energy will start to clear and you can move closer. You can set healthy boundaries, whatever is stuck. So like when people come to me in person, as you guys have witnessed, I have different foam footprints. And so they would just put the footprints on the ground as if it was a person. And if I'm working with people virtually, they just use paper. Which that part,
and it
yeah.
works.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
It works virtually just the same. And so you do it individually. You do it one-on-one. You don't do it in a group.
I do. I haven't
Yeah.
done groups in a while. I love groups. They're really beautiful. They're so intense. I love groups.
Yeah.
Back when we could be with people.
Yeah. But I like the one-on-one.
I like the one-on-ones too.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, because I get this question a lot virtually, sometimes I think people can go deeper because they're in their own home and they feel safe. So
You know,
works the
it's
same.
funny. I think so too. This Zoom thing is actually kind of extraordinary for working
Yeah.
one-on-one like that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Karie is asking, so do you need permission from a family member in order to start the family healing?
Not at all. Not at all. I think the people that are pulled to this work are typically the pattern breakers anyway, those transitional characters that shift the lineage backwards as well as going forward. So not at all.
Yeah. So the work is about not cleaning, but maybe healing the lineage behind and the lineage forward. So if there's a pattern that has been passed down, as an example, suicide, from a psychological standpoint, opens up that choice, that option in a family.
From a spiritual standpoint too.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you'll
absolutely.
notice that if maybe grandmother did it, then, somehow somebody else does it in the family. So you're saying that it heals back and it heals forward. So then you don't carry that forward to forward generations either, correct?
Exactly. And it's interesting. I had a client who had suicide in her lineage and in the great grandparents' generation. And then she subsequently tried in the exact same way. So, and oftentimes I feel like it's just like making those connections because she was telling me and I was like, why does this story sound familiar? And then I looked at my notes and was like, oh my God, your great grandmother did the exact same thing. So
And she
yeah,
put two and two together.
not until that moment. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we have that. I know somebody that worked with you too that had that situation. We didn't know when that was, where it came from, but the ideation, but it really did come from a great great grandfather, a great grandfather, somewhere in that lineage where it came from. And it was funny because I was telling a family member, not my family member, but family member that I know, of the situation of how the families carry the trauma from the grandparents and the great grandparents and all of that. And in this one particular family that I was talking to, I said, I don't, maybe you're not aware of this, but the grandfather had committed suicide. It was stunning to them because it turned out in that family, two of them had tried to kill themselves.
Wow.
And they didn't know where in the world it had come from. And it was your work that keyed me into that.
Wow.
It was
Yeah,
really
because
important.
back then nobody talked about anything, right?
No,
Like in the
no.
great grandparent,
No,
even our parent generation.
it used to go like this. Oh yeah, great grandpa so and so. Yeah, he killed himself. He shot himself, and then you didn't talk about it.
Hmm.
And then, boy, does that energy get stuck somewhere, right down that old lineage somewhere. Generation, next generation, it just follows you. That energy
Yeah.
follows you until you
Yeah.
do something about it. You just don't even know why you're so depressed or why you're carrying somebody's crap or why whatever. And then you have a
Yeah.
session with Karie, your mind will be blown.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite part of this work is it's about love. It's about restoring orders of love. It's about witnessing great whomever who killed himself and nobody ever spoke about again. So it's like that keeps him on the outside of the family.
Yeah.
But energetically, it creates these big potholes and everyone just kind of keeps like diving in the hole. So
That's so true. Well,
Yeah.
let's talk about, with what's going on in the world right now. How do you see that play out in your work now? Like, I guess what I'm thinking of, the people that are protesting, were there protesters in their earlier generations of that same family? I'm just curious about that. Or were there people that spoke up in their ways in the generations before?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know that that's actually come up, but that would be really interesting to see that connection.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the families that I attract, and it's probably because my family was that way, there's just a lot of suppression. So I've seen that now where it's, especially tied to racism and just all of the trauma in the lineage surrounding that. It's like I've just found in the last couple of weeks, people are just like, okay, what do I have to do to heal it? What do I have to do to create change and to live in a different way? Yeah, but that's a really interesting point, Kelly. I bet there would be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is working in so many different areas here because we're dealing with, people that have had enough.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I actually believe that Donald Trump is divinely put there because his unconsciousness is so great that it would have to be equally as great going deep and to uncover all of this trauma that's been hidden, and everything has been hidden for so long. I think and the work that you do, it makes everybody conscious, of all the generations conscious. Actually, you have that ability when you're working with Karie to just unkink all of that energy that has been stuck and stored for generations that goes back. I mean, racism didn't just pop on the scene a few years ago. This has been going on, I would say, forever.
Oh,
Forever. People with
Absolutely.
differences, I think forever.
Forever.
Hella, you know what her name means? It means halo. I don't think I'm even saying it
Oh,
right,
I
but her name
love
means
that.
halo. Is that the greatest name?
Wow, that's
That's
fantastic.
I
amazing.
love this one. So she says, is it just a one-time occurrence or does one need continual therapy and clearing? Great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I leave it up to the client. The beauty of this work is it's like peeling an onion, and it shows you very quickly where more dynamics need to be witnessed. So I had a client a couple years ago, which is funny. I must have known this question was coming. I was thinking about her yesterday. She came, had one session, and just took off. And then I have clients that come pretty regularly, but I think it's really up to what you're trying to heal, however deep you want to go.
Right. I've had 2 sessions.
Yeah.
Six months apart, I think.
Yeah.
Life-changing, really life-changing for me.
Yeah, I've had
It
many.
freaked me up. You've had
Many, because I love it. Yeah.
Me too.
But you can put what you've described as you can put anything in the field. It doesn't have to be the family. I mean, that's the first one. And then if there's other kind of more fine detailed stuff to put in, but you can put anything in there.
Yeah, you can put anything in there. I put money in the field a lot. People have a lot of energy with money, especially tied to family systems. I work with actors a lot of creatives. You can put books in the field. Yeah, you can do fun ones too. They're not all traumatic.
Yeah.
Jody says, how do we know if family constellation therapy is what we need versus other types of therapy? Another great question.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
who
I
wants to
see
answer
family constellation therapy as, as an adjunct to weekly ongoing therapy.
Yeah.
It's called therapy, but I think sometimes that may confuse people as, like if it's once a week, 1 hour, type of therapy. But what you do is the 2-hour session, and then people can go back for more of that, but it's not ongoing like a psychologist or like a therapist. Right. Yeah.
What I do when I'm working with a client, whether it's a therapy client or whether it's a medium client or if it's both, whatever, because I do both of those, I will look at them and I'll see the family system and I'll go, you know what, you need to have a session with Karie. There's so much here. Or I'll say, you have to work with a somatic experience person. Let me find out from Shirley who I recommend. We work as a team here with this, but I will often say, go see Karie, have a session with Karie so your energy shifts and changes. Then maybe you and I will talk about the experience. Then I might send him to a homeopath for a remedy. Then I will probably send him to Prajna. Sometimes I send him to Prajna first, then to Karie. It all depends on where they are in their development and what I feel that they need at that exact moment. Is that how you do it, Shirley?
Yeah, absolutely. Karie, you were going to say something?
That's how I do it too. Because with my work, there's an integration piece that needs to happen after. So I discourage people from wanting to come once a week.
Right.
It's like
totally.
It's such deep work. Go marinate. Work. I definitely work as a team with both of you because there's so many components to family constellation therapy.
Well, and just like in therapy, it takes you have to integrate. Work through something. I mean, when I send them to you, Karie, it almost like speeds everything up. And so then we can continue to integrate, which is why I would send them to you as well, like you, Kelly, or to Prajna. I mean, I call them all at different entry points.
Yeah.
Or I'll send them if they have a lot of loss, then I'll send them to Kelly for a session, but healing, happening through different entry points to kind of heal the whole.
Yeah.
The whole person. Yeah.
I had
the generations.
Oh, absolutely. I have had a lot of these. I wanted to talk to you about, Karie. I had a lot of situations in this last week of all things. It's unbelievable the cases that are coming into me where I'm getting a message from their loved one on the other side. Let's say it's a dad. And I'm describing the dad who's passed over. And this happened to me, like honestly, 4 times in a row. And I was kind of shocked last week how this happened. And they were saying, well, you've described my birth father, but that's my birth father, but I was adopted and raised by this father. And so and I thought, well, does that mean generational therapy with you, family constellation therapy? Does that mean that they would have 4 people they'd have to deal with, 2 mothers, a biological mother, a biological father, and then 2 of the other ones that adopted them?
Right.
So how does that play out in the morphogenic field?
Yeah, I love working on adoption constellations. I haven't had that. I've probably only in the 2,500 I've done, I've maybe had 15, but they're always my favorites because I think we intellectualize things, right? So if you're given up, it's like you're then raised in this adopted family, and all the constellation people that I've worked with, it's like they have just the most beautiful adoptive parents. So there's definitely some love and loyalty entanglements with them. So many of them didn't even want to face birth parents. But every time I put it in the field, they will go to the biological parents first.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Every time. Yeah.
Wow.
Because that they give them life, their life force, that connection, that bond is so important.
Wow.
And in my work, it's to restore the orders of love. It's all about hierarchy, right? And so birth parents, they are their main source of connection. So I always put in both sets so both can be honored and witnessed. So it's just a clean energy when they leave. But it can get, I mean, you add step parents into that, like they can get pretty big.
It's not funny, but my daughter at one time had 12 sets of grandparents.
Wow. Yeah,
And
I
that
mean,
was bad. And some of
That's
them were really
funny.
screwed up and some
yeah.
of them were great. And it was, bless her, a little hard, big heart at the time. It
Yeah.
was rough. And so I'm glad that her
Yeah.
family with her babies are just simple. It's just her and
Yeah.
her husband. That's it. But
Yeah.
mine was very complicated,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Well, you've worked with Holiday, so you.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I love
Holiday.
her.
She's the best. She's the best. She
She's
loves
the
you.
best. Yeah. Yeah, but blended families, I mean, that's a lot of energy. And then you add in siblings and half siblings and step siblings. It can get tangled pretty quickly.
Now, could you take on the energy or the kinks in the hose, like you've described it before, of the energy, of the generational energy from adoptive parents?
Great question.
That's my left brain, Karie.
Yeah, I know. I
love it.
I know. I love it. I love it. It makes me think. Yes. Yeah. I have clients that, especially if they were adopted from birth, have some trauma, some dynamics with the adopted family. But I always find it, and again, maybe it's just the cases that have come to me more tied to biological family. Like I had a client who was an international adoption. And so I think she was in an orphanage for like a year, but they would wear her in a very specific way, not in a front pack, but like on a backpack. And then when she got adopted, she was colicky or something. And so they started wearing her on the back. And that was the only time she was calm.
Wow.
So it's like those energetic imprints and those memories, Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you do things like rebirth people? Or is that a different type of, is that included in the work you do?
Yeah, I definitely, depending on the circumstance, will put in birth trauma. That's a big deal.
Yeah, birth trauma.
Yeah, that's a big deal in family constellation therapy. I will put people in like womb energy. So someone could actually stand in, or the feet could represent you being in the womb. Those are really interesting ones to do if people have a lot of abandonment stuff or addiction. Sometimes will show up, at that state. Those ones are really interesting to do because
addiction because the mother was addicted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you said, Karie, that if you do the work, sometimes because you're shifting the energy of the whole family, that sometimes a parent might all of a sudden decide to get sober, or that you see it, even if the parent didn't even know that you went and had a session, that the energy starts to shift everyone around.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had that happen quite a few times with constellations, which is beautiful. It's like the client comes in and it's like, I want to work on XYZ dynamic, and kind of hits it hard. And then you'll just slowly start to see everyone in the family start to shift. So I've had parents, gain sobriety through their child doing constellation therapy, siblings, spouses. That's another big one. So that part's exciting.
Wow. Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
Wendy asked the question, is the therapy technically hypnosis?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. You're fully lucid. Just the morphogenic field, that part sometimes trips people out because they call it the knowing field, which is really beautiful. So you could actually kind of step into it blind and start feeling the energy of ancestrally whatever you put in, but you're fully lucid. Yeah.
And this morphogenic field, is it something that how do you bring this in? How does this open up? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I have a very specific process when I open it. I think it's just intention. So it's the intention to connect with your family system, And
when you walk into your office, or now to do it on Zoom, that energy is set for this. Your intentions or their intentions are set. It kind of opens up the energy. It's kind of like as I do a mediumship.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I had never called it that before.
So I always just during intake set that intention with the client of whatever they want to work on. And then I don't open it until we're ready to actually do the constellation, because it's so much energy. It can zap you. I just open it for the room that they're in, just because it's a powerful energy. Yeah.
Well, John, do you want to tell us about this?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, so we posted in the group, in the Facebook group. If you're not a member of that yet, I'm going to put some information up on the screen and you can learn how to join. But we have a special offer for a group family constellation healing with Karie Gonia.
Yeah, Karie,
So
tell us about
Tell us about that, hon.
Yeah, so group constellations are cool. Again, kind of the premise of if you're working with 50 people in a room. So I do twice a month, I do group constellations for my clients and then for some international clients with another healer. So I actually am the proxy. So I set up the papers or the feet based on whatever theme that we're working on. So this theme is around healing the mother wound and the specific dynamics tied to mother energy. And so I will set up the constellation depending on what spirit has me put in. And then I will go through the process. I'll actually do the constellation and then share what comes up. But the cool thing about offering the groups, once or twice a month, through the homework, I will teach you how to set up a constellation at your home. So you'll use the papers and then you will stand on the papers and you will feel energy or emotion that has been stuck in the field. So yeah. And some trippy stuff. I mean, you guys have done it with me. So when you stand on the papers, it's like sometimes you can start immediately like rocking in a little circle. You can rock forward, back. You can get pain in your sciatica. You can start crying. And so even though you will be in your home standing on paper in whatever space, you'll feel where the energy's been stuck.
If I hadn't had the experience myself, I wouldn't have actually believed it.
Yeah.
But I was in your office, but my daughter, I think, had it at her home, and this is before COVID actually, but because you work with people all over the world that are not in your Pasadena office. But I not only did I feel it, I fell over, hit the wall, and at one point I thought I got stabbed in the back. Because I had such a drag.
Man.
But it knocked me out.
It. Yeah, you absolutely feel it. I got pushed against the wall once, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" I mean, it blew my left brain completely away.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so the family, so the group is you're working with everyone, but you kind of represent because the intention is like, say, healing a mother wound.
Yeah.
Then you step on the papers and share what you feel, and then you give them homework. And so then do they check in with you, or how does it work? And for this?
Yeah. So what I do is I just set up a private Facebook group. And so once they do their homework, they just post, hey, I stood on XYZ paper and this came up. And so then what I do is I connect to spirit for their specific family and then channel the healing statement. So I'll just type back, turn around and face mom and say, dear mom, I blah, blah, blah. So that part is, for me and my left brain, that's when the hose on kinks and everything comes up and out.
How many will you take in this group on? Is it Friday? Is that when it is? This
Friday?
Yeah,
so I'll do it Friday. And how I've been doing it, I typically leave the field. Spirit kind of bosses me every time. So 24, 48, I know, right? Kelly, you understand that. But what I do is I do the constellation, let's say on Fridays, and then I'll post on Saturday, here's what came up, because I like to kind of keep checking in for like 24 hours and see if anything has shifted and then give them the homework. So I didn't put a cap on it.
Okay.
With the caveat of just be patient with me if you can, because I've already scheduled with my one-on-one clients through July. So I might just be a little slow to respond during the week, but I always will. I mean, Kelly gets
you always respond. Yeah.
I always respond. It just takes me a second.
John, would you put that comment back up? There you go. Tanya says, this is a really good one. I found out at 22 that my dad who raised me wasn't my birth father. I found my birth father years later, but he wants nothing to do with me. Could this type of therapy help him open up, or is it more for me to be able to work through it?
Wow. Oh, Tanya, that's painful. That's a great question. I think it's more for you to work through it.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes it sends out a ripple and then the parent will start moving closer. That's what I've seen in my experience, but I think it's for you to work through it. That's interesting. I've had a lot of those constellations lately. There's so many secrets in family systems.
Well, that's just it. But secrets are going to be unveiled now and revealed, and all kinds of things are going to come out. So this is the work you do is phenomenal for this, because there are going to be
Yeah.
tons of secrets that come out. Oh my
Tons.
gosh, I can't tell you how many. I can't even tell you, but I'll just say this. I know families that all of a sudden surprised because of, what's that thing, Shirley, Ancestry.com and 23andMe. It's like,
Ancestry.com.
"Ooh, you're my daddy." Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hearing all kinds of stuff like this. And as when we choose our birth parents before we incarnate, we also, if we're going to be adopted, we choose that as well. And there'll be a contract with the birth mother. Maybe you just needed that brain, or maybe you needed that kind of drama to go into this family. You don't know what your soul came in to work on, but it's very
Right.
complicated. But I
Yeah.
can tell you there's a reason behind everything. Maybe you needed to learn about abandonment because in a
Yeah.
previous life you had been the abanderer, or I don't know if that's such a word, or something like that. But or something, or you needed to, so you could
Yeah.
understand true healing and true love and true acceptance. And
Yeah.
there's all kinds of reasons all of this happens. All of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danette says, is it possible for healing to happen in a step parent to stepchild situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love doing those. I have such a wonderful, incredible stepdad. So those are always who has never, ever, ever treated us like we weren't anything other than his own. So I love working on those dynamics because there are a lot of conflicts in step parent child relationships. So those can get messy quick,
Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That John, will you put up Karie's information for anyone that wants to find out any more information?
And we're ready to take calls too, John, if you wanted to put any calls through.
You guys got it. So let me go ahead and get to our first caller. 954 has been holding. 954. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from? And please go ahead and mute your background music. Yeah, I'm going to mute you. Go ahead and mute after you have secured the background noise, because otherwise we're hearing ourselves through the phone. So, all right, so let's try this again. And in the meantime, I'm going to go to, looks like area code 760. 760, Escondido. Yep, another one. Go ahead, folks. So just to let you guys know, when you guys call in, please mute Facebook and listen only through the phone. Mute Facebook, listen only through the phone, and you will be connected to us directly. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to area code 760, and let's try and see if she's got it. Hi, thank you. That sounds so much better. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
This is Marguerite. I'm calling from Vista, California.
Hi.
Hi, Marjorie.
Hello. Wow. I am a 65 mature woman, and I'm just loving everything that you're saying, because I've been questioning myself, because I was born into a wonderful family who needed me to love and nurture and take care of my brothers and sisters. And my brothers and sisters think of me as their mother, second mother. And I'm now 65, and they're almost 60 and 55, and they still call upon me. And I find myself in relationships even with my nephews, almost like a second mother. So I keep taking this mother role on.
Let me ask you something. What is your birth date? Because there might be a reason for that. What's your birth date?
5/10/55.
Oh, yeah, possibly. Well, you came in to do a lot of endings. It's not necessarily your big role. You didn't have to take this role, but you come in to end a lot of things in this life. There'll be a lot of closures, a lot of endings. So sometimes when somebody takes in an incarnation of ending things, they can be the mother role in that. It doesn't have to be. It's actually a choice. It doesn't have to be. Some people literally come in to be the mother. That's why I wanted to see that. But anyway, that's from my perspective. Karie?
Yeah, Marjorie, was there any trauma within your environment that put you in that role as a kid? Like,
I believe so. Now that I'm, at an age where I can really look back, I believe my mother didn't know how to be a mother, and it was scary for her, and she had 5 children. And so when she birthed me, I was the oldest girl. She loved that I was so nurturing to her children, which were my brothers and sisters. And so she just let me keep nurturing them. And she kind of, you know, took on a career and kind of left me with her children.
Wow.
So I think there was some emotional trauma for her.
It's really interesting. Oftentimes when I meet people, or if I hear people, just like when Marjorie introduced herself, I'll get images. And so I got this clairvoyant image of her standing in the center and just being swarmed by kids, almost like you're Santa. Like they're so excited, you're emitting so much love. But I kept asking where the mom was, and Spirit said not present. So I think for you, Marjorie, something you can do, I'm a big fan of visualization and meditation in family systems. We did this a couple shows back, where it's like really, really imagine your mom, even if she's on the other side, standing behind each one of your siblings, pouring all of that love and life force energy into them. And then you get in the front and really just receive, because I don't get the sense that you've ever been in the front. You know, so it's all about order. Making sure.
Yeah, you're right. And now my daughter is going to treat me with a session with you alone, because my daughters, because now I'm 65, and they're telling me, you know, Mama, you never got loved and nurtured as a little girl because you had to take care of your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful.
So I now, you know, at a mature age, I have not really had the childhood that every child deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's never too late.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Your kids seem very, very special.
So I feel so blessed to have loved my brothers and sisters as deeply as I have, but it's not in a balanced place. And somehow I just want more balance in my mature life now. And so I need to get it for me. So I will definitely do a session with you.
You're my favorite generation to work with, because my parents are, you know, 64 and 67. So I love it, though, especially women, because we've all been indoctrinated with you're too old, you're too mature, you're too this, that. And it's like Shirley said, it's never too late. And this can be the most wonderful chapter, you know?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. How wonderful. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Well, let us know how it goes.
Yes, and thank you for that, because I want to be loving and nurturing to my grandchildren, but I don't want to be overpowering.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you're wanting it now to be a little bit more balanced. So you give, but you can also receive.
Yeah. Yes, and somehow I'm choking now as I'm talking.
Oh no.
Something's going on eternally. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you for calling in. Thanks, and definitely let us know after you have your session with Karie.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Shirley, from a traumatic piece, or from a somatic piece is a better word, when she was kind of choking in just now, or coughing, or whatever, what would you say was going on?
Well, I would explore it. If she just took a drink, then it would, I mean, but
let's pretend she didn't take a drink.
It's hard to take in, and maybe there's some things that need to come out. Maybe there's some words that need to come out, or some, expressions that need to come out, because she will, when you have not had the experience of taking in, of receiving, you really have to increase that container so you can tolerate that, because when you haven't had a lot of experience, your container for that is tiny. Your container for giving is huge, but your container for receiving. And so even if you want it and it sounds great, you need to be able to practice. What does it feel like to receive? What does it feel like in your body? Is there a warmth? Is there an expansion? Do you notice a block? Is the block a wall? Is it inside? Is it outside? And so you explore all that from a sensation standpoint in order to help someone create a container. Some people don't even have a container for receiving, and then to expand that container so then that it can be balanced. We might have someone wanting to give us something, and if we don't have that container, created or expanded, it'll go right over our head, and we still feel like we never receive. So yeah.
All right, John, who's up
Okay,
next?
let's go to our next caller, and let's see if area code 617 is on the line with us. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
This is Jody Williams. Hi, John. How are you? I'm calling from Connecticut, Stamford, Connecticut.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
That's me. Yeah.
What is your question for us?
Hi. Okay, my question. Actually, I'm asking on behalf of my kids. I'm a single mom. I have two kids, almost 5 and 9-year-old with my ex, and he came from a very. He's an addict. He's still battling addiction. So I want to know if, for my kids, they taking on any generational trauma from their father's side. Even though I have full custody and they're with me, live with me, and with me all the time. But just based on what you guys are talking about, there could be unseen stuff passing on without them even knowing. So I'm just curious. Could it be possible that there will be some generation trauma that they will have to deal with from their father's side?
Are they both boys, or are they mixed, like a boy and a girl?
Well, one girl, my daughter's, boy and girl. My daughter's 9 years old. She's
Okay.
My son is 5 years old, almost 5 years old.
Okay. I feel it more with the girl. Go ahead.
My ex, he's the only son from his family, so he's one of the 5 kids, and he's the only son. And he has an older son. Also, his older son is trouble as well. He's also battling some type of addiction. So I'm thinking for my son, is that something that he will be facing down the road?
Here's the beautiful thing, and it's probably why I so deeply love family constellation therapy. They have finally figured out that our DNA is not hard-coded like they thought. So anything that happens within the environment can turn that gene expression on or off. So even if we have the gene for addiction, the environment can flip it on or turn it off, suppress
Or
it.
keep it dormant, right?
Yeah,
That's the
keep
study
it
of
dormant.
epigenetics.
Yeah. So I feel like the fact that you have full custody of them bodes really well for them. Your son, the little one, the 5-year-old, feels like he came in a freer way, but I feel like the 9-year-old, you're going to have to really, she just feels like she has more inherited trauma. But the fact that they are not in his environment, I think bodes really well for them.
Okay. All right. Great.
Yeah.
But yeah, my son is definitely more. So actually, I was debating whether or not to have a second child, and when my daughter was 4 years old, and at that time my mom had passed already. She passed in 2012. So around 2014, I was trying to decide whether to find my son, and I felt like I had a connection with my mom at that time, and she gave me a sign, and the sign told me that I should have another child, and it would be a boy. And 9 months later, my son was born. So I feel like my mom was really connected to my son in some way.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling in. That's so interesting how you could see a difference then with siblings, where one can come in freer, or what would be that, just the soul of that person that comes in with, kind of not influenced as much as maybe other siblings.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, Kelly, I'd be curious your take on this, because I do think it's contractual, right? Like, what did you come in to learn?
Completely contractual.
Yeah.
Completely.
Right.
We
Right.
choose before we come in.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this personality. I'm going to be this. I'm going to need to work on this. I have to work on that. Very different. So you may have the first sibling that takes on all the trauma. And the second one is like Free Willy. And
Yeah.
then later something happens to Free Willy where they can't figure out how to change their diaper. So all kinds of things.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not just speaking from my own experience here. Or am I?
I wasn't going to say a
I know,
word.
me
So
neither.
why don't we go ahead and take another call?
All right,
Let's
ladies,
take
we're on
another
our
call.
last 10 minutes of the show, so I'm going to try to get these calls in as quickly as we can. Going back to area code 954, thank you for your patience. Let's see if we got that fixed now.
Hi, this is Robin. I'm calling from Delray Beach, Florida.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Can you go ahead and mute the
Hi,
background,
so,
sweetheart? Because we're still hearing that background noise.
Okay, I'll just turn it down. I've turned it off.
Perfect. That works.
Do you still hear
Wonderful. No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. So my question, I'll try and be mindful of the time. I'm a empath and intuitive, and I have for the last 10 years been working with many people trying to heal the generational wound of genocide, the energy of the Holocaust.
Wow.
And since we are going, so I've been experiencing what we're experiencing now since 2017, and have been working to transmute what is happening for the collective, as I'm conscious and aware that this is an evolution that I signed up to be part of. My question is, I am receiving resistance from my deceased generational ancestors not being willing to let go of their victimization.
Oh, that's
So how
interesting.
does that look in a session, Karie, with you? Also, I have a session this Saturday with Kelly.
You do?
I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
This Saturday, huh? Okay. What time?
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, I'm just looking at my book at 1 o'clock my time. Yes. Sorry. Yes. Hi, Robin.
Yeah. So, hi. So have you ever had to argue with ancestors to let go of their wounds?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I take a pretty fierce stance of like, cool, if they don't want to, if they are going to hold on to that energy, they get to hold on to that energy. You then no longer carry that energy forward. So oftentimes in the healing statement part, it'd be like, I give you back your resistance, your victimhood, your whatever they're holding on to. I take my part, but like you get to hold all of that energy and you'll start to see it unkink that way. It's rare. Typically, I mean, again, I probably attract what's in my family system. Typically, they're so excited to be witnessed and honored. They're like, cool, because if they release that resistance, it heals everything going backwards. But it's kind of like the point of Shirley. It's like, if there's no container for it, it might feel like life or death to release that victimhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Even the generations behind it. That's so true that are past.
Even
Yeah.
in
That's
spirit.
even in spirit. That's why I say when
Yeah.
you leave this plane, whatever your consciousness is here, you take that with you. It's
Yeah.
not like,
Yeah,
my mom used to
see?
think, oh, all of a sudden you're just all knowing. What?
But
Not
okay,
at all.
that's what I believe. That you got there and it was just all love and
Well, you
done and
come with
over
who
with.
you are. Surely, like you've got that left brain, you're going to get there and go, now, wait a minute, where's my body? I don't you'll be asking the left brain questions.
Oh,
Like, what
I'll be
happened here?
happy to let go of this. However, I'll say, how does it work? Teach
Yeah.
me.
Teach me
and I'll be
fast. I
taking
want to
notes.
know.
Right.
So
I'll be
that-
asking a shitload of questions for sure.
So the consciousness of the entire family system, I would imagine that set point is still there too. Because I see that a lot where it's like so many families have the set point of survival energy because of war, pandemics, trauma, slavery. And so it's like I've had to really work to start even building a container to release that.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
set point is an interesting word to use for that.
Yeah. It's almost like muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
That's how energetically, that's what it feels like. It's like, oh, cool. This thriving, I want it. Doesn't feel awesome. I'm going to go back over here where everything is hard or a struggle or I'm a victim or whatever. Yeah.
So true.
What a
Yeah.
great question.
Yeah. Keep giving it back, Robin. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, Robin. And I'll see you on Saturday. Look forward.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed the show.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Robin.
Thank
Appreciate your
you.
patience. Take care. All right. One last caller coming from Hawaii, it looks like. Area code
Lovely.
8. Can we have your name, please?
Really enjoyed. Hi, this is Tanya.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Tanya.
Do you have a question for Karie or
am
Kelly
I
or
on?
Shirley?
Sorry, I muted it.
Yes, you're on.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking my call. I really appreciate it. I know you guys are busy and you guys are amazing, and thank you. You actually briefly touched on my question earlier. I was the one that has not met their birth father. I found out at 22 that my dad who raised me wasn't my dad. My whole family knew except for me and my sister and my brother. So I ended up finding him about a year and a half later. Found out he went through the same story. He was adopted at birth off of the reservation. I found out I was Native American. And so he was adopted at birth, and he was never told of his, where he came from. And so when I found him and told him who I was, clearly he was shocked. He never knew I existed. And so I think it just brought up a lot of stuff for him, and he just didn't want anything to do with me. And so for 13 years, I stayed quiet because he actually is a pretty popular musician within his genre. And I just didn't feel it was my place to spread my story. I didn't want to make it about trying to call him out. I wanted to figure out what I could do. And so anyways, so about 2 years ago on Ancestry, I found my extended family. And they welcomed me in. They told me to come home. I went back to the reservation and I found my family.
Oh my goodness, that's giving me
even
chills.
before I found, thank you. I know it's a long story. I'm trying to make it really short, really quick.
No, please go on.
No, it's okay. We have a few minutes.
And so even before I found family, I was getting messages as a kid. I would get messages. I would have a lady in the mall stop me and say, your grandmother's here and wants you to know you're going to reveal the truth. I had a lady at the DMV tell me that that what I was being told wasn't really what I was being told. So I always had these little hints my whole life, but I never knew exactly what they meant. But I kept having dreams of a woman saying, you'll be home, you'll reveal the truth, all will be revealed. So I found my family. I went home last October. I met my extended family. I still have not talked to my birth father, and he still refuses to have anything to do with me. His band, his message is we're all family, we're all one. He spreads this message, but he's not living it. It's incredibly frustrating, but I feel like it's my path to clear this and to stop this, because his mother did this to him, and his siblings did the same thing, and my great grandparents did the same thing, and I don't want to continue it. I don't want to continue this cycle, and unfortunately, I'm not with my son's dad, and I feel like it's skewed into that relationship, and we have a really volatile relationship, and co-parenting is just not working. But I feel in my heart a lot of empathy because I want my son to have his dad in his life. And I feel without this experience, I wouldn't be able to be understanding, but I just feel so stonewalled from him this whole way. And so I guess I'm just wondering, what should I do?
I think a session with Karie.
I mean, the fact that it's like a repetitive issue, I always tell people you can kind of figure out where things are stuck. If you take a piece of paper, line down the middle, all your stuff, ages, traumas on the left side, and then start writing out mom and dad. So the fact that this has just continued to happen, something stuck in your family system. It's interesting. I was goosebumping the entire time you were talking. And I think that I feel the dad's energy and I'm like, oh my God, it's so locked up in his chest. There's so much grief and so much shame and so much, it almost feels like curiosity, but I feel like he's just still stuck in his own trauma. So I would definitely come at it from a place of healing for you, because I think that, like I said earlier, that's going to open it up for him. But you're definitely, I love that John put up the pattern breaker in the generational trauma, because you're the transition, you're the bridge, you're going to stop this cycle, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
And I feel that. Right.
You what, Tanya?
I'm sorry. I was just saying I feel that. I've kind of
Yeah.
felt that all along, that I am this pattern breaker, but it's so hard.
Yeah.
I sometimes don't know if I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Have a session with Karie.
Yeah.
That'll unkeek a lot and get your energy flowing. You'll know what to do. Listen, with all these planets
Yeah.
and all the stuff that's going on, big change. Big
Certainly,
change.
now's the time.
Yeah.
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 Thank you so much for calling,
Thank you so
Tanya.
much.
And do you think yep.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as far as my son goes, being kind of pulled between these two families, as far as him faring and all this, is he okay? I mean, is the energy in him? I mean, I feel like obviously we all chose to be here and he chose to come into this family. But I feel awful for him sometimes.
Well, I would start with a
he's
session with
thinking-
Karie and then see where that energy takes you, because that has the ability to change the energy with your son too. Right, Karie?
Yeah. Yeah. How old is he?
He's 9.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's still little, I think, again, bodes really well for him. I would clean it up now before he goes into teenagehood. That's when it seems to they start to really entangle with that energy. So, yeah. And just remind him that he's safe and that you're the mom. He feels out of order a bit to me. Feels like he's trying to parent.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Tanya. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Wow,
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, families.
Yeah.
They're the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes, they are. That's hilarious. So, well, thank you so much for being on,
Yes.
Karie.
Oh.
And I think our listeners are going to be so excited to be able to participate in this kind of group family constellation hearing. So is it healing? So is it on your website? And do we have, John, are we putting it on ours?
We have, yes. It's in
Okay.
the Both Sides Now TV community group. There's a link there with all the details as well. And also want to tell folks that we're going to be meeting for our after show discussion. If you'd like to join the group and come into our chat room and hang out, we'll be there. I don't know if the ladies will be. They might pop in depending on what their schedule is, but I'll be there with you all, ladies.
I love the ladies and I love to go in there. It's so much fun. Oh my God. And I did a Zoom one with James. It's so much fun.
We'll probably move
But
to Zoom if it gets too crowded.
I don't know if I can go tonight,
I
only
know.
because I'm just kind of wiped out, everybody.
I
But
get it.
Yeah. And I have to figure out how I'm able to do it. Still with my Facebook, I haven't.
you would love it, Shirley. It's so fun.
Yeah,
You'd love
no,
it, Karie.
I
If you get a
want-
chance, it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
have
love
a great.
that you guys are doing that.
It's really awesome. We have a really
Yeah.
great time in there, and we get deep with the spiritual topics. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of stuff that's come up from this show. And thank you so much, Karie, for being with us
Yeah.
again.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much.
It's so
Oh
good
my
to see you
gosh.
guys. Yes.
Yeah.
What's our
And-
show on Thursday, John? What's that?
So we're going to keep continuing on with Ask Me Anything Spiritual with Kelly White. So,
On Thursday.
yes, on our Thursday show, and that's going to be. I'll put the details up for that. That's Thursday at 2 p.m., 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's on Thursday here on the same page, Both Sides Now TV, and also on our YouTube channel. So yes, so we're also going to go deep into the empath situation, Kelly. So
That's right.
especially
Thank
with
you. I knew
everything
that's
going
what I
on
was
right
looking
now.
for. I
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah.
remember. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks
So-
everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for
Thanks.
joining us. And
Bye.
we will see you on Monday.
Take
Bye.
care.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.
I love that life.